We close, we close, we close it in. We close it in. We close it in. I say once again, I'm yellow repent to the masses. Spirit war, let's begin. If it's beef, I'ma spin. I'm really feeling like Mike Jackson. Fake friends don't pretend, but I'm yelling out cut, cause they really ain't about that action. Most high told me I'm the captain, so I make waves like I brought my stuff in. I'm reading
before there is any talk of US security guarantees, and I know that up to this point, President Zelensky had said we need US security guarantees before we can go any further. President Trump's made it clear that is not going to happen. So do you think that in the first instance, Ukraine will have to accept a ceasefire?
The ceasefire also can be different. I think that the President Zelensky made quite a good proposal about the ceasefire to make a ceasefire on sea and in air, which some kind of practical issues which can be controlled, which can be observed, and which can be kept. Because we're absolutely sure that Russia won't keep the complete ceasefire on the front line. And we'll see what will happen with that proposal, because that proposal is quite like a framing, and it can be agreed before some as a first step before the guarantees. But just like a complete ceasefire, which will be violated immediately, is not something which we can accept, because then the next steps are not clear yet.
Do you think there's any hope of a swift resumption to US military and intelligence aid?
I think that only internal public pressure can change somehow this position, and we can expect some, I hope, release of data, of intelligence data. However, I do not expect the fast release of the American aid. And I mean, which we have now.
And just briefly, Alina, I mean, are you seeing that effect already on the battlefield? Intelligence, yes. The absence of assistance, not yet. We have some storage here, but intelligence, obviously, yes. Alina Frolova, former Deputy Defense Minister of Ukraine, now with the Kiev-based think tank Center for Defense Strategies. Thank you very much for joining us. Greenlanders, I should say, head to the polls.
All right. That sounds like a good time as any to come in and say good morning. Do 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 do. The Spirit Talk News. Good morning. Yeah. Do 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 do. Hey, you know what it is, brothers and sisters. It is Monday, March 10th. Baby, 2025. We are close to the Lord's real new year, and this is that Spirit Talk News. Hey, so all praise to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace, brothers and sisters. I pray and I hope that everybody had a blessed Sabbath rest, a blessed holy Sabbath day, which is, guess what? Not Sunday. It's not Sunday, because Sunday is the first day of the week. Today is Monday, the second day of the week. God's Sabbath, all throughout the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, is the seventh day of the week, brothers and sisters, which is Saturday. And if you want to take hold of the covenant and be blessed and gain an understanding of salvation, you have to keep God's holy, sanctified, blessed Sabbath day, brothers and sisters. It can't happen no other way, right? Because God is a spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Sunday is a lie, brothers and sisters. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna get into the brief news update that we heard, and we're not gonna keep you long, brothers and sisters. I'm passing the Pentagon right now to my right. Okay, so you just saw the Pentagon. Okay, as we are have just left DC into Virginia. All right. So, but anyway, you know, speaking of intelligence, and speaking of the Pentagon, and speaking of you know, national security, and speaking of international relations, which is all part and parcel to you know, things that's going on with the presidency. As you just know, about 2 weeks ago, we had a very hot meeting between the Ukraine president, the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky, and Donald Trump in the White House, whereby the conversation on the U.S. side seemed agitated, and you know, they stirred up some contention, some strife with Zelensky, you know, and as a result, he was asked to leave the White House. Now, the actions that followed that included Trump suspending all U.S. aid towards Ukraine in their fight against Russia, in their war against Russia. And as a result, the U.S. via President Trump is trying to they're trying to broker a deal between Ukraine and Russia for a ceasefire. That was the ultimatum as it pertains to President Trump, brothers and sisters. And so as a result of that, Ukraine, quite naturally, you know, just is turning to the EU for assistance, because as you may know, that before this took place under the Biden administration, the U.S. heavily funded Ukraine's military assistance with millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, brothers and sisters. The same thing they have done with assisting the Israeli-Palestinian conflict over the years, being on the side of the Israelis and funding their military operations by sending millions and millions of dollars. Okay, so that is why on an international scale, you will hear America being blamed for the Israeli genocide against Palestinians, against Hamas, against Hezbollah, right? Against these various groups, right? You will, you know, and that is what even has moved the Israeli, or I should say, that has moved the Ishmaelite factions to join together, forming the resistance and coalition that they have, brothers and sisters. which I believe is called the axis of resistance. Okay, which you have these various groups, like I mentioned earlier, right? So that is the ongoing conflict which the U.S. is in the middle of, but it's very similar in regards to military spending and financing as it pertains to Ukraine and Russia. Okay? Now, like I said, Trump has chosen to suspend that aid to Ukraine after previously the U.S. government has funded, has sponsored and backed Ukraine. Okay? Because from Ukraine's point of view, Russia is inflicting this great genocide and is displacing the people of Ukraine. Okay? But now Trump has isolated America just like he did, as President 45 when he was elected, I believe in 2016, right? So he did that and had talks of isolating, America and NATO, right? We all remember those talks because he wants to make America great. That's even why they have the Doge program, because they want to focus on what they call strengthening the government and strengthening, which plays a part in isolating the U.S. to focus on production and development and technology within the U.S., right? And even defense, which is why Elon Musk is there. Okay? So what does that mean for what we heard between Ukraine and the EU? Well, shortly before this meeting between Zelensky and Trump, you had Zelensky pleading a case to Europe, which sounded very similar to Emmanuel Macron, who is the French president, right? Some years ago, around, that 2016 era as well, around that time, you had Macron calling for an European army. Well, currently, right before the White House meeting between Zelensky and Trump, you had Zelensky calling for a European army. And why did he call for a European army? Because he figured, just like from the era of 2016, that the U.S. is focusing on strengthening themselves, and that they cannot rely on NATO to help defend them in situations against the East, like we see between Russia and Ukraine. So there's been a call for an EU army, brothers and sisters, to help Europe unite, right, their armies in defense against enemies, particularly what the Bible calls the kings of the East, which is Russia, China, Iran, etc. Okay? The interesting thing about this is that Ukraine is not an EU member country. Ukraine is not an EU member country, brothers and sisters. So that makes this interesting, but they have been awarded some accession to join the EU. Okay, so that's what's happened. And I gotta go now. So the point of the matter is, brothers and sisters, as you see, I got a little appointment with the vehicle. But the point of the matter is, why have I said all of that? Right? I said all of that to really let you know that the West and the East are coming together, getting prepared to fight, brothers and sisters. The West and the East are getting prepared to fight. Okay, brothers and sisters, as you can see, first time ever, we are outside of the car. We're outside of the truck. We're outside of our ST vehicle, our Spirit Talk vehicle. And we're at the ST dealership. And so let's continue, brothers and sisters, because I just want to wrap this up. You know, they really made me get out the truck. I was like, just give me a minute. I was trying to finish up. So that's why I kind of got, paused a little bit. But we're back. And so now, just to continue, brothers and sisters, what has this, what has this done? Okay. What is this significance? The fact that Trump has suspended aid to Ukraine, the fact that Ukraine is an Eastern country, but they want to join the EU to have national security or defense security, and they want to strengthen the European army, which is really speaking in total regarding Western Europe. So what does a unified Western European defense army have to do with anything, and why is it necessary to talk about? It's necessary to talk about because when you look at Revelation 16 and Revelation 17, it describes the war of Armageddon. And the war of Armageddon is between the powers that be in the West regarding Western Europe and the powers that be in the East regarding Eastern Europe. Okay, Western Europe is presided by Rome, okay, Babylon, which is the revived Roman Empire. That is who the EU is representing, brothers and sisters, because the European Union was founded on the Treaty of Rome, and the European Union is made up mostly of countries that were a part of the old Roman Empire, which is why it was founded on the Treaty of Rome. We're talking about the EU, right? You may know earlier in the history about the European Economic Community, okay? But we're talking about the EU, brothers and sisters. So this is important to know because it's a part of biblical prophecy. When you read Revelation 17, it refers to these 10 kings right? These 10 leaders who will give their power and their armies over to Rome, which represents the West, which represents Babylon, right? Which represents Western Europe. And they're going to fight against the East, which represents Russia and her allies, brothers and sisters, okay, in the war of Armageddon. That is why it's important, okay? And look, we at our vehicle. So all praises to the Most High. This has been another episode of Spirit Talk, and we're here, you know, and we just want to, you know, give all praise to the Most High God. What I will do is I will drop a link. You guys have to go check out the last Spirit Talk episode about the Pope being near to death and Zelensky's call for a European army, okay? The Pope being near to death and Zelensky's call for a European army. That was the last Spirit Talk news update on this topic. And then, yeah, so I'll post that link, all right? And if you need any more information on it, feel free to let me know. Feel free to hit me up. Feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, and, you know, keep praying for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Watch and pray, brothers and sisters. As always, keep the faith, fight the good fight, and endure to the end. In Jesus' name. All right, peace.
We closing it. We close it in. We close it in. I say once again, I'm yellow repent to the masses. Spirit war, let's begin. If it's beef, I'ma spin. I'm really feeling like Mike Jackson. Fake friends gon' pretend, but I'm yelling out cut, cause they really ain't about that action. Most High told me I'm the captain, so I make waves like I brought my stuff in. I'm be the man.